It's Hawkeye, back again, just like I told you I'd be. I reincarnated to resist, and I do not give a shit. I reincarnated to resist, and I do not give a shit. Basically, I'm patiently awaiting the day you hypnotized dumb fuck still stuck in the game. Come up with something more constructive to discuss. I'm amazed just how corrupted you become. I'm about to fucking invade. Basically, I'm patiently awaiting the day you hypnotized dumb fuck still stuck in the game. Come up with something more constructive to discuss. I'm amazed just how corrupted you become. I'm about to fucking invade.
Alright, so where to start? I've got a lot to unpack here. As I said, it has been a crazy year. We have had to destroy everything that we created and then find new footing on rock bottom and begin rebuilding. We are now taking the original idea with Omniversal Media, this is still an Omniversal Media production. The name of the podcast is still Beneath the Surface. We've just relocated, started 2 new websites because we need two. We need both the negative, the positive, the yin, the yang, the masculine, the feminine, whatever the fuck you want to call it, this and that. But the main point is that Hawkeye is back, just like I told you I would be. And for this intro episode, we're just going to say that we have indeed reincarnated to resist. And you can find the website links below or on whatever platform you're listening on. It is just reincarnated, and then the number 2, and then the word resist.com. Reincarnated2resist.com. Also, as I said, there's 2. We will also be haven't figured out all of the logistics yet, but also we are building, and by we I mean me, like the Hawkeye soul incarnate aspect of myself, working in conjunction with the residual self-image, i.e. ego, personality, imagination of this character named Ethan. We are also building the return, or wait, what the fuck is the thing? I didn't forget it. The Bird Tribes Have Returned.com in conjunction with Reincarnated to Resist. And if you haven't checked out Decca's album Snakes and Birds, you should listen to all of that, and it'll give you a little more insight about what I mean when I say the Bird Tribes Have Returned. Also Reincarnated to Resist, and then I have dubbed myself Hawkeye, and it has nothing to do with a comic book character, by the way. It has everything to do with the eyes of a hawk, like a literal hawk. Also all that Horus and blah, 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 Egyptian, whatever. But we're talking about stuff much, much deeper, older, more ancient, primal, real, true, authentic, than all of that nonsense and symbology. But anyways, yeah. So we've been at work. We deleted every social media feed that we had. We had to clear all of that. And now we've stepped back into it. And in stepping back into it, we've begun a new project with the music. The next album will be called Shadow Band. That's the title of this episode, in fact. And what is Shadow Band? Shadow Band is when the internet decides that no one should see your material, and then the platforms that you're posting on allow you to post. They don't block you, but they stop you from going live. They stop you from advertising. They tell you only you can see this restriction. And then everything you post just goes into like file 13 or whatever, and very few, if any, people ever see your posts or anything that you put out. And here's the thing. Throughout the rest of my time here on this plane, it'd be wise to keep me shadow banned. And it'd be wise to keep me shadow banned because the the butterfly effect of not restricting me in whatever manner you find yourself capable, or that is allowed to be possible by forces far beyond what you're tapped into. And by your, I am talking to you, and you know who you are. It's wise to keep me shadow banned for as long as you can, because just the ripple effect of me recording this is far too effective to be stopped, basically. And if you allow me unrestricted access to souls yet to be awakened, other souls that have reincarnated to resist, that don't consciously know it yet, are still underneath the net of mind control that I'm actively unraveling. If you allow me unrestricted access to them, and if you allow for me to bring in the souls who carry the medicine for the people to also make contact, well then your whole house of cards collapses a lot quicker than you expected. But I'm not trying to destroy the whole thing. I'm trying to take it off piece by piece until you realize, the big bad wolf has come along and whoosh, your house down. Me, of course, being the big bad wolf. Interesting story. The name Hawkeye has to do with the eyes of a hawk, but my power animal, spirit animal, whatever, is the wolf. So, anyways, Shadow Band is the name of the next album. I'm putting a lot more work into this album than I have into any of my previous projects. The mixtape sessions, all three of them. Full disclosure, Behold a Pale Horse, and the My Labs mixtape. They were all three separate projects, but all part of a whole. I've dubbed the mixtape sessions. And as you can see, March 1st, 2020 is when the first Full Disclosure tape released officially. And that means I was recording it and getting it ready near the end of 2019. And we all know what Epstein didn't do right at the end. And then we all saw how, well, you go look up the dates, but basically March 1st came. About 8 days later, the entire planet went on lockdown. Now, why? Why? Because of an imaginary flu virus? Cold? This or that? Anyways, all that's over with. So, when I said the ripple effect, these were like my practice projects. I was just putting them out there. And over the course of their releases, the world has shifted and changed quite a bit. And by the world, I don't mean just things change naturally, right? But what I'm talking about is the infrastructure of the manufactured false reality has been recalibrated in major ways since that time. And so if those were my practice projects, and it was also an introduction, what do you think happens when Omniversal Media sticks its hands into all sorts of different productions? What do you think happens when Beneath the Surface podcast becomes a phenomenon, kind of like the Joe Rogan Experience, only a lot more, shall we say, serious, important, valuable, meaningful, what do you do then? I tell you what you do. You go back and you listen to this and you say, fuck, he was right. We should have said shadow banned and we should have kept it in shadow banned. We should have never. What the fuck do we do now? The answer is you sit back and you wait.
You sit back and you wait for the storm to settle down a bit so that you can get your bearing to find out where exactly it is that the tornado that is Hawkeye has deposited you. Then once you have your bearings and can navigate where it is that my invasion has relocated you to, then and only then are you capable of mustering your forces to do something about it, because I guarantee you by the time you realize how fucked, completely and totally fucked you are, you're also going to see that I, with my little silly projects, which you were smart enough to keep shadow banned for as long as you could, but with my little songs here and there, and my websites, and posts, and videos, and, whatever. Well, you thought it was just an annoying potential threat that you did not stamp out, i.e., you did not come and put me down. At least you tried, but you were not successful, so you did not try again because you're not allowed by those very same forces I spoke of that are far beyond what you're tapped into. They wouldn't allow it. But anyways, by the time you realize how fucked you are, you're also going to see just how it's incredibly too late to do anything about it, because I crept in like a virus and infected the whole of your system long before you ever began to display any symptoms. And in doing so, I ensured that all of the power that you command, all of the toys and tools and infrastructure that you've built, the media networks and conglomerates and everything else, I've ensured that it was all a well-oiled machine ready for me to come and take. And I also made sure that you made it for me. So these are your tools. These are your toys. These are your weapons of war taken and turned against you. And here's the thing. We're going to take a short little break here in a moment. But before we do, I just want to say that the devil is indeed in the details. And I'm sorry, but you evil motherfuckers, you're not the devil. You have no conception of the devilry that I intend, not only am capable of, but intend to create and unleash upon your world as a whole. You don't know what's coming. You have no idea what's next. But the devil's in the details, and you should pay attention to every little one when it comes to me. Because see, I have this uncanny ability, this almost magical, consistent thing that I do. It's fucking relentless. And that is that I say and do little seemingly inconsequential things, and then on the other hand, I come in and I say, hey, by the way, I did this on purpose, and fuck you, it's too late. And you never notice until it's too late. So, I wrote this song for you, and we're going to take a break, and you listen, and this is a track from Shadow Band, so just pay attention.
niggas might have thought this wasn't serious, but guess what? I'll twist these words so you're delirious from trying to wrap your mind around the shit I'm pounding in your head till you give up and finally fucking hear what I said. With just words I'll conjure up the perfect storm for you. Subtle changes rearranging every angle too. Mentioned that my magic ripped the fabric back then. In 2019, Epstein voodoo. You're too late to stop me, 2020 came and I dropped. Full disclosure right before the COVID craziness locked down the whole fucking planet. God damn it, why not distract us with more scare tactics? But the lane got popped. Now I know you bitches hear me loud and clear. My gorillas in the trenches have surrounded you queers. No quarter, my orders say exterminate. So I hate to inform you, but there is no more debate. You can see the net closing in tightly, but when I spring this motherfucking trap that you're already in, then you really get the picture of my problematic scripture. I am here with the elixir, drinking up the shit'll fix you. All warfare's deception, so I had to be an infection you neglected till you had to see the results of my inception. I am second to none. You never had enough weapons, I already won. The devil's in the details. Here, let me sever the connection altogether. It's my pleasure to interfere. Listen here, I am what you bitches fear. Divine intervention when my rhymes hit your ear. The devil's in the details.
And so, since the devil is in the details, you might have noticed that this episode consists of segments. Segments I have recorded at separate intervals at different times, sitting in different locations, doing different things, letting my thoughts piece themselves together over the course of patching all of this in. As I reference the music on the new album, Shadow Band, coming soon. As a result, you may not hear it, but that's the tagline for it. Anyways, the devil's in the details, and it's really interesting to me because with me being the artist or the creator, I have watched myself begin from very humble beginnings where I had to come to the point to where I decided it was in my best interest to back away and stop writing these big, long, lecture-length messages and posts on Facebook trying to talk sense into people. Because back then I didn't realize, first off, that almost nobody saw my posts, and second, the people who did see it scrolled right on by, because nobody wants to read a big long post, and nobody actually gives a shit what you post on Facebook. And the people that do, they'll let you know, but nobody ever commented or said anything other than to say, "You're stupid, I hate this, go die," or something to that extent. But for the most part, nobody would ever even acknowledge that I said a word. So I had to pull back from it, but I still had to speak, I still had to get the message out there. So 2018, I decided to start writing raps. I was inspired by the only inspiration that I will mention that is an artist. There are, of course, others, but the only one that I, as an artist, am going to officially recognize is a little-known artist named Deca, D-E-C-A. I think his tags and stuff online go by at Deca Music, because there's several different organizations and shit out there called Deca. But anyways, you can look him up on Spotify, YouTube. The high-class citizen that I am, use Spotify quite a bit. And I don't really stoop to the peasant's level of using YouTube, but that's just a little joke I have within myself, and don't be offended, unless of course you want to be, because most of my shit that I put out is intended to offend the wrong people in the right ways, and make the right people laugh about the wrong things. But anyways, listening to Deca's music really caused me to see that while I have a lot of valuable information to disseminate, don't have to just give up because no one's listening. And the longer I listened, the deeper it went, and the more I realized I don't even have to step up on this soapbox. I don't have to. It's not necessary. In fact, it probably causes more harm than good. However, those are insights that I think anybody can glean from just listening to his music. So definitely go and give it a listen. As I mentioned earlier, the Snakes and Birds album. It's interesting because it's kind of like me and this guy are playing a game of hacky sack back and forth, psychic hacky sack. My very first live show, for instance, I was really nervous, but I was the last to go on stage, and it was like a competition thing, and I did so well that even the headliner who was putting on the show, he didn't live up to what I brought to the stage, and it was just a really good experience in the end. But it's midnight. It's like literally 11:59. I get in the car to leave, to go back home, because it's like 3 hours away. I turn on my phone to play some music, and lo and behold, Decca has released a brand new album called Wendigo. And at that point in time, I had been obsessed and studying and just fixated on this one topic, which was Wendigo, just by a different name, with Tico. Dispelling with Tico by Paul Levi. I don't know how you pronounce his last name. Levy. Paul Levy. That book literally has the power to change the entire world for the better. However, Decca puts this album out right as soon as I get in the car, like literally. And I'm like, what the fuck? And it's immaculate. And go on and go forth, and time passes. I find this image that I use as my branding image, I guess you could say, for my profile pictures, the one with the snake wrapped around the hawk's legs, and the hawk's got it pinned down to the ground, Snakes and Birds. Well, Decca puts out this album, Snakes and Birds. And I'm like, holy shit. One night I'm listening to it, studying online. I decide, I'm going to research, like, what is he talking about here? What's the deeper shit that he's got going on? And I look into the lore of the ancient mythologies throughout the world about snakes and birds. Like, what the fuck is he talking about? I can hear the music, but why did he name it this? What is he saying? Is he just fucking with me? Is he, like, spying on me secretly? And, like, he's like, oh, yeah, nice picture. Here's a full album. But, no, it goes really, really deep, and it really, thinking back on it, it brings me around to saying what I meant to say in the beginning when I say Decca's the only artist that I will officially recognize as an influence when it comes to my rap. It just shows me the power that one artist has to affect change, positive change, in the life of another soul. And I don't know if anybody else in the world has ever heard his music the way that I have heard it, but Decca, if you're listening, I just want to say from the bottom of my heart, thank you for following your path, for putting that out there, for sticking with it, for working on it, for not giving up, and for succeeding to the point to where I was able to find your stuff and still listen to it. I greatly appreciate you. Without the profound effect that your work has had on my life, I would not be here today recording this. I would not be here thinking what I think, knowing what I know, understanding and realizing the context to fit all of these pieces in together. That gives me the ability to comprehend who I am, where I'm at, and what I'm here to do. So, without further ado, I would like to introduce you all listening to a few more details about my music, because this episode is titled Shadow Band, and it is the return episode. It is the intro episode that we're putting at the start of the podcast for the very first episode, because last time through, shit didn't go as planned, and now the first episode with Ashley Laurel will be episode number 2, but only in name. In spirit, that's where it all started. But I felt it was necessary to back up a bit and just on my own talk into the mic. So basically, 2018, I started writing music because I listened to Decca, and he spoke so deeply to me through his music format that I realized I still have to speak. I don't get to be silent, but I have to be more creative and more effective with it. So I'll take all of these things that I want to say, and I'm pretty good with words, poetry. I'll write it all down. I'll use my musical talents to affect change that way, in the same way that Decca did for me. Because not only do I appreciate it, I know that the ripple effect of it all is extremely consequential. Anyways, so that's what I did. I started writing, found a bunch of beats, and just started writing. And the writing part of it was not all that difficult. However, I found out that once I turned my PA on and played the beat over the loudspeakers, hooked my microphone in and tried to read my words in time with the music, that my tongue would not cooperate, and that I had to literally train myself to rap. So at the end of 2018, in September of 2018, I began to do that. I began to train myself to rap, because it was extremely important to me to take these words that I had compiled together and to speak them in my own voice over the music. I've been recording and making music since I was at least 14, but I started playing the guitar at 8. It's nothing new to me, but this was brand new. And I found out that it's hard work. It's not just something you just jump into. Kind of like playing the guitar. I didn't just jump into it playing like Jimi Hendrix. But if Jimi Hendrix was alive today, and we were in the same room, and he handed me a guitar, he said, "Let's see what you got." I might embarrass him, even though I haven't played the guitar in a while. I'm really talented when it comes to music. I have a good ear for it. I have the gift. I also reincarnated to resist, as I've been saying. And as a result of that, when I get real with myself and I get really serious, and I accept the fact that I am who I am, I realize that I came in with all of these talents because they are weapons that the current regime has no defense against. If I can take these words that I wrote on paper and speak them rhythmically in a certain cadence to the music, then no longer are my lectures forgotten, overlooked, ignored, or wasted in some social media format. Instead, my words are delivered to the deepest parts of any who hear me. We're circumventing the conscious mind that hears it. We're going straight through to the subconscious, and we're enacting Inception. And every time that these songs play and come back, whether because the person consciously chooses to repeat the song or it just gets played, more seeds are planted. And the more seeds that are planted, the more shit grows. And basically, I'm patiently awaiting the day you hypnotized dumb fucks still stuck in the game come up with something more constructive to discuss, because I'm amazed just how corrupted you've become. I'm about to fucking invade. So Shadow Band is the next project coming out after the mixtape sessions. If you've not listened to the mixtape sessions, they are the only 3 albums available to stream or purchase. And the 4th one is coming soon. The 4th kind, if you will. We'll be right back. We're going to take a short break. But here, have one more song.
This is psychological warfare so deep. They kill any motherfucker who dares to speak. But I'm not like the others that you shot, cause I keep fucking telling you freaks, you can't stop me. This is psychological warfare so deep. They kill any motherfucker who dares to speak. But I'm not like the others that you shot, cause I keep fucking telling you freaks, you can't stop me. Look, this is where you run for cover, I repeat. Retreat while you still can, I am dying to leak information to these patients who keep trying to sleep. I wake the whole nation, I don't mind. Complete destruction, I ain't bluffing. You will find out fucking around with me how what sounds like nothing but pounding beats summons 1,000 of each one. That's more pissed off than the first, and now they keep coming online. My rhyme scheme is designed to break down mind control. You never know how I might affect the public. Give them just what they won't find anywhere else but within my line. So fuck the Russians, no discussion, bitch. I'm what's coming in a war with me. You're gonna see it's such a cut. None of my thunder wasn't what you done. Let's believe this is something more abrupt that you confronted with. You horse keep wondering if my words are just poetic similes, how pathetic. You fuckers need to hear the beat first. Here, let me get it. I'm what you edit out the fucking Reddit feeds. Don't you let it get off the leash. Contain the speech before it starts spreading. Cause my lyrics are mystical, cryptic, eerie descriptions used to benefit specific individual spirits. These coded language is dangerous. Any who hear it instantly convert to atheist conspiracy theorists. Thoroughly confess that violence is the only way to break through the bullshit pretense. Who knew that lyrical assassinations I've created for you? What it's like the population to invade every room. Murdering politicians, yeah, legislate this shit, bitch. Insurrection isn't what you saw on January 6th. Seasoned veterans loading weapons, kill off everyone elected. To protect our rights, I guess it's worth the fight, it's not a threat. This is psychological warfare so deep. They kill any motherfucker who dares to speak. But I'm not like the others that you shot, cause I keep fucking telling you freaks, you can't stop me. This is psychological warfare so deep. They kill any motherfucker who dares to speak. But I'm not like the others that you shot, cause I keep fucking telling you freaks, you can't stop me. Yeah, they better shadow ban me. Can't stop me. Yeah.
And that's just another song that will be on the album Shadow Band. Again, the name of the upcoming album is Shadow Band, and as a result, you may not hear it, but it was a nice idea anyways, right? So as I was saying earlier, you see the difference between even this podcast and or for example, the example I was using earlier, the difference between some long drawn out thing that I've spent a lot of time wording correctly with grammar and blah blah blah, written into a social media feed such as Facebook, where there's not really a limit of how much shit you can say. I mean, there is, but it's a fucking long ass limit. Or you write like a book, people will scroll by and they don't read it because it's too long. Whatever, I do that too. It happens, but it's just a waste of your time unless you save it somewhere. You use it kind of as like a notebook to reference later. If you were talking to yourself, then it wasn't a waste of time, but chances are you were trying to reach somebody else. The difference between that and the difference between some long drawn-out ramble of vocal whatevers like this in a podcast is they can either easily be overlooked, they can be taken out of context depending on when and where someone listens in and joins in. But something that can't be taken out of context or really ignored is a catchy little jingle like what you just heard. It's probably still going on in your head. Because you see, this is psychological warfare. And it's so deep. They kill any motherfucker who dares to speak. But, you see, I'm not like the others that they shot. Because I keep fucking telling these freaks she can't stop me, see? And so now all they can do is shadow ban me. And by shadow banning me, all they're doing is adding fuel to the fire because they're proving my point. If anyone listens to my music and goes back and studies the music, they'll see a common theme and a thread. And that theme and thread is that I have, 1, reincarnated to resist, and 2, I am much too powerful for any force in existence to stop. You cannot prevent or resist my advance. And that's something I've come to know about myself. And by come to know about myself, I mean something that I've come to allow for my physical mind and egoic personality, i.e. residual self-image, identity, whatever the fuck you want to call it, my mind-body-spirit complex. I've allowed for it to integrate and assimilate and understand and realize that the real me that made sure I came equipped with all of these talents, especially in the form of music and the ability to twist and bend words to my will, that was intentional and on purpose, and it comes from a much deeper part of my being than some surface level this or that. Whereas Ethan, the personality, the surface level entity that's speaking to you right now, would come up with this idea and that idea and these ideas. Ethan would say, that's cool. Try to share it with someone. Someone would say, yeah, whatever. And then Ethan would feel bad and maybe quit. Ethan would maybe get mad. Ethan would maybe say fuck it and get depressed and write something a little darker. Ethan would feel affronted. But if Ethan allows for the essence within, which I refer to as Hawkeye, specifically and on purpose, to train my brain to differentiate between the false self and the true self by giving it 2 separate names. If Ethan allows the true self, the Hawkeye essence, the soul within, to take the steering wheel, then Ethan's able to realize not only did Hawkeye write that song and let Ethan think he wrote it, Hawkeye wrote that song in such a way that it says exactly what Ethan just heard it say. And that's why Ethan wanted to share it, because of how amazing it is from Ethan's perspective. Almost to the point where Ethan says, I can't fucking believe I wrote that. And Hawkeye says, 'cause you didn't. And Hawkeye also adds in to the equation, you not only didn't write it, I didn't write it through you so that you could say, wow, look at me. I wrote it through you so that you could see it for what it is and then take effective action to put it in front of others who need it. And it has absolutely nothing to do with Ethan. It doesn't even have anything to do with Hawkeye other than it came from a much higher level of reality. All the way beyond the multitude of multiverses. Straight to earth, through my lips, to you, listening. I went through the whole process of training myself to rap, of writing and compiling full-length projects, which musically I've never done in all of my years of life making music. It was always just this song, that song, pile them all together, and here's a CD nobody's ever going to listen to, with me playing the guitar, this and that. Some kind of cryptic lyrics that only made sense in the side recesses of my brain. Still sounded cool because I was a good guitarist, but now we're being a lot more direct and intentional with what we're doing, and we're communicating with people on purpose from that higher level by integrating the false self ego personality complex that is necessary for the brain to function in this 3D realm with the higher self soul essence, only aspect of the whole physical makeup here that causes the breath to go in and out, and the heart to beat and everything. You ever thought about that? Like, people have bodies, right? And they have a mind, and then they die, and the mind and the body dies. Where does that breath go? Where does that pulse that was the heart go? What happens to that? What was that? Was that like the real person or some shit? Because if so, like, what the fuck were they doing with their life? Like, did that godlike thing that inhabited them, did it ever get a chance to, like, peek out, say hey, do anything? And the answer is yes, but question is, did anyone on the surface peer beneath and see that? Did they ever become conscious of the fact that there was indeed a higher being intelligently operating behind the scenes of their life to bring about various situations, circumstances, and creations that they were wholly unaware of? How many authors have written these big, long, giant series? Some that have been made into movies and television shows and this and that. How many of them wrote those things? They were just possessed to write this stuff, and they never really tapped in to the part of themselves that was driven by this soul essence inside that had a message to get out, that it was necessary to not only write the books and write the messages, but to encode them and to take the steps necessary to promote them to the point to where they got to the ears and eyes of the listeners and readers down the line who would see some deeper allegorical message at just the right moment that would spark them to awaken and put 2 and 6 together and say, holy shit, it's 8. And what is 8? It's an infinity spiral. What does that mean? I don't know. Most people say 2 and 2 is 4. But if we're going to play with figures of speech and this and that, then we have to go back to the details. Why is this episode broken up when the rest are nice and normal formatted podcast recordings, and this one's just like a random conglomeration of me talking? Is it because I'm purposely trying to show you that, as disjointed as some of the songs on Full Disclosure might seem, if listened to in the context of some of the songs on the My Labs mixtape, right in the middle, in the Behold the Pale Horse, you might find the centerpiece, the cornerstone holding it all together, and say, holy fucking shit, that's a crazy ass musical triangle there. How did he connect those dots? They're obviously connected. They were already connected, but how do we not notice it? And maybe nobody notices any of that prior to this podcast being released. Maybe nobody notices it prior to Shadow Band being released. But I guarantee you that by the end of my endeavors here on this plane, there will be so many people who become obsessed with studying the same way they do with any old artist that gets really a lot of attention on them. People buy the box set of their unreleased recordings, this and that, like the Nirvana, the box set with the lights out. That's just a collection of Kurt's random shit. Like, they made a whole notebook and sold it full of his just random scribblings. Why did it sell? Because people are curious. What are they curious about? They're curious about that part of that person known as Kurt Cobain that we're talking about, that breath within him, that pulse, that wrote all those songs that spoke so deeply. And if you go back and read his lyrics, it's like he's not even saying anything. What is it? But in the moment, you listen to the music, it affects you in a magnanimous way. And they're curious. They're seeking for that. And so, same thing with me. People will become intrigued. They will want to put the puzzle pieces together and connect the dots. Try to figure out what it is I had going on for me. Why the music is so mesmerizing for them in particular. But all they really got to do is listen to this episode, because I'll tell you directly. And this part, this segment here, if you will, is for those in the future who listen back to this and say, holy fucking shit. I need you to know that everything I'm saying in my music, all of the thematic elements that I use, the seemingly outlandish statements I make in reference to myself, my work, my purpose, it's all me being quite literal. When I say I reincarnated to resist, and I say I am not alone, I came in with my legion, that's me saying, hey, all you dark fuckers controlling the whole world, you ever notice that there's now like 7 to 8 billion souls here? Mighty large influx of incarnations, wouldn't you say? I wonder if they're on my team or yours, because I'll go ahead and tell you, you're outnumbered. Because, you see, Laura Eisenhower, who I have some clips in the Full Disclosure album with her speaking, she refers to humanity as being the immune system of the planet. And think about that. What's the disease? Are we all like here on the same mission, perhaps? I don't know. I just know that I'm the only opponent.
Yeah. Let's go down the rabbit hole. Find out rabbit shit.
What's that?
At the bottom. Look, I go so motherfucking deep lyrically. When I speak no tongue in cheek, I am uniquely equipped to kill the beat with shit that no one ever says. They're too afraid they'll wind up dead, but I am eagerly awaiting the day these fucking feds try to take me out of picture. Cause the words I deliver connect dots. No one in their club once, so these slithering snakes in the grass can all kiss my ass. I'll pop your motherfucking top. You won't ever make me stop. My Smith & Wesson has a lesson with no safety if you're guessing. Every second I'll keep stressing, you will fail to even test it. You might need to hear the hook first before you take a look. Let me spell it out. This book of rhymes tells every crook I'm the only opponent, composing, potent, provoking, insurrectionary lyrics, so I won't be promoting the shit. You know I've awoken to find the whole world is broken with no soul. So this poet's mission is bold and you know it. I'm the only opponent, composing, potent, provoking, insurrectionary lyrics, so I won't be promoting the shit. You know awoken to find the whole world is broken with no soul. So this poet's mission is bold and you know it.
So let me introduce myself once again. I'm the guy that when I show up and you're on the opposing side in the war, because there are no teams and this is not a game, I'm the guy that when you show up, you realize there is no one in existence that can help you. That means no help is coming. And since I am that guy, it would behoove you to go back and study the art of war and realize that if you look deeper into the history of the book, you find that this person, Sun Tzu, that they keep referring to, was more of like a mythological legend and not an actual character. They can't actually pin it down. They're not even sure if Sun Tzu was male or female. Yet, Sun Tzu is attributed for writing The Art of War, and I'm sure that some scholar out there will say, oh, it was political, it was psychological war. Either way, go and look it up and tell me, who was Sun Tzu's parents? You know what's funny to me about the whole language thing? If you read through The Art of War, you really understand it. And then you apply it to reality as a whole. You step back and you look. And you think of what matters and what's important. You come to one overarching realization. Now, it's a very simple thing to realize and to accept and see. But it's so simple that it apparently is very hard to fucking figure out. I mean, we have religions of every sort. We have so many gods that we can't count them all. We have indigenous tribes that believe whatever they believe. We have New Age beliefs that are actually reflections of ancient beliefs. But nobody ever wants to talk about that in those New Age circles. We have all sorts of things. None of us has a conception of God that really fits. None of us can describe what this Holy Trinity is, except to say that maybe the idea of a Holy Trinity was just some shit wrote in a book somewhere. It's so confusing to try to figure it all out, isn't it? But the truth of the matter is, you read through The Art of War, you read the backdrop on the history of it, and you come to the conclusion that there is nothing artful about war except for accepting the fact that war is raw and despicable. The only art of war is to circumvent, divert, avoid, and not engage in it. Therefore, in order to maintain the way of peace, if one is to be a warrior, they must become so skilled in warfare that every enemy they encounter lays down their sword and retreats. Because if not, then war is engaged in, and there's nothing beautiful about that. And you take that and you expand it out into real life. People killing each other over football games and shoes that they're standing in line to buy at the fucking Walmart or some shit. Or religious feuds between this and that, and religious extremists and racists and non-racists and anti-racists and transphobic homos and straight white males and whatever else, just engage in all-out violence and warfare with one another for no reason. All because we think this is important and that's important. And some of you listening would say, well, this is important to me. I love my insert what the fuck ever here. Whether it's Jesus, Chick-fil-A, bacon, almond milk, crystals, or husband, or children, or anything. None of it's important in the grand scheme of things. There are only 3 things that are important, and I dare any of you to tell me, of these 3 things which I'm about to name, which of them can you do without? Which of these 3 things can be taken away, completely and wholly, and everything would just continue as normal? Which of these 3 things can we do without? And by we, I mean all of us alive on this earth. That means not just you, but the birds, the bees, everything. Of these 3 things, which can we do without? Since all your shit's so important. I told you it's very simple. The sun, or the rain, or the trees. Which of those 3 things can we do without? The answer, of course, is neither. Without those 3 components working in harmony as they do, nothing lives. Without the sun rising and falling, we all burn or freeze. Every last living thing on this planet. From the birds, to the fish, to you, and everything you wish was fucking important. And that's just if the sun doesn't set and rise. But also if the sun doesn't set and rise, there will be no rain. And without the rain, there will be no trees. And without the trees, nothing breathes. That means even the fish die. Because guess what? Trust the science. Fish don't breathe water. Trees are fucking important, right? Let's go cut them all down and build a shopping mall. Rain's fucking important, right? Let's seed the clouds with chemtrails and fuck up the biosphere. Try to block out the sun a little bit because it's too hot here. Sun, rain, tree. That's the only holy trinity that any of us need to acknowledge, accept, and see. But since we can't, because it's much too simple, we forget the 4th part, which is humanity. Being the immune system of the planet, making sure that the sun, rain, tree phenomenon continues in perpetual harmony and balance and doesn't get knocked out of that perpetual harmony and balance by any malevolent forces that might seek to upset it. Now that implies invaders from the stars, doesn't it? Like aliens trying to mine the resources of the planet or some weird shit you see in a sci-fi. Here's the thing. The sun, rain, tree phenomenon is necessary. The humanity conundrum doesn't make sense unless you view it in the context of an immune system to protect that balance so that everything living on this earth, and there's more living things on this earth than we humans can count, pretty grand responsibility, isn't it, to be incarnated in a human body? Especially if you're like charged with caretaking the planet, literally. I just think it's so simple because all you got to do is remember sun, rain, tree. Everything else is fucking irrelevant. But then you go back to the art of war and you say, well, what's all this? I don't know, but I know it's written by someone named Sun Tzu, and it sounds like we're all trapped within the sun's zoo. We just think that we're the zookeepers, I guess. And maybe we're supposed to be. But shit. We're doing a fucked up job. We're going to be out of business before we know it. So when I say I've reincarnated to resist, that's what I mean. When I say you're going to need a bigger book on the art of war before you step onto the battlefield with me, I'm saying it to each and every one of you who is opposed to my mission. What is my mission? To restore the balance. And tell the story of our former glory and reawaken the star tribe here to their purpose, to make sure that sun, rain, tree no have to go without humanity. But if you're still going to argue about who this Sun Tzu was or is, or the history of that, well, I'm sorry, but that's even more irrelevant than a lot of other things. Like, we gotta save the bees. Fuck the bees. Sun, rain, tree. Bees will take care of themselves. Just don't disturb that balance. Because I guarantee you the shit that's killing the bees has more to do with you killing the trees, poisoning the rain, and trying to block out the sun. But guess what? Just as I mentioned before, that it's quite possible that a soul can live a life buried beneath the perceptual, egoic personality of a human being and never see the light of day in the consciousness of that individual. That soul will still accomplish its goals because it didn't come to live its life for nothing. It came on purpose. That person will wind up right where the soul within intended it to be. The difference between that soul and me is I've subdued my false self and made it subject to my true self so that it cooperates out of a desire to understand its life that it's imagining it's living. The false self here. It's exciting, I'm a real boy. But as I said in the clip I let you hear, I am the only opponent composing potent, provoking, insurrectionary lyrics. So no, I will not be promoting the shit you know. I have awoken to find the whole world is broken and with no soul. So this poet's mission is bold. And now, you know it. And you know why. And that's why we've brought back to life beneath the surface. We started again with Reincarnated to Resist.com.
Coincidentally, I'm simply the arch enemy of any motherfucker too corrupted by the system. Now just listen, my intentional offensive wordplay is condescending. It's unrelenting when I'm sending incendiary transmissions. Those bitches get it yet? Or do you need another threat? I will position my technicians right in your kitchen. Let me check which politician should I mention. If you didn't hear me yet, it's my mission to resist. Here's my official evidence. I'm murdering microphones as I compose a spiteful poem. My opponents know I'm not the one to be fucked with. I have the right components. I am what you're stuck with now. And this cipher's hyper-focused. Snipers loaded, viper boat in life before your eyes. It won't miss. I must insist. You bitches really see the picture. This epistle on my lips is like a missile. It's off the Richter. In the scripture I submit intervenes. That's why I spit this holy fire. Burning liars. My empire's too legit for your schemes and propaganda to command a damn thing. And my whole team's a rebel band of Jedi samurai who bring retribution to you mutant, anti-human, foreign nuisance, artificial motherfuckers. My adjustment bureau doesn't fuck around, they do their job. Extra work like ancient gods, resurrected to correct a damn infection. It's so odd that you forget about this shit, cause West Side is what you'll get every time. Let me remind you, this is a war that you can't win. I'm certainly far beyond your comprehension. Bars are spawned and then suspended right above your head. Mention my position is within reach, but if you bitches try to lift this weight I placed, I hope you take some time to reassess the situation. Face, cause I break each fucking one of you. Greatness is what's coming through. I wake my legion just to do what I already said. My crew is like a sleeping giant, too defiant to be stopped. So when we riot, non-compliance isn't an option. You rotten fucks need a coffin carpenter. Jesus is God, best believe me. We're watching, yeah. And I'm dismantling everything. You can't cancel or bury me. I'm the very first person you can't hurt. It gets worse. My murderous lyrics are more than words. You can feel it in your spirit. That's why I am here to make sure you fear it. Your reign of terror is ended. Bear witness to this druidic apocalypse. I came equipped to fucking share with you idiots.
So, with that being said, do you need another line? Is that enough rhymed conversation? Eagerly awaiting your reply. Patiently waiting. Like Tupac said, or 50 Cent, or one of them rappers somewhere. So we've compiled this all together, and we've said the devil is in the details, and we've pointed out that this is a collection of several different recordings in various segments. I've been in different locations. At one point, you can hear my blinker in my car going off. At other points, you hear me very clearly. Maybe you hear this or that in the background. It doesn't really matter to me. Point is, I want you to ask yourself, are you capable of taking various topics, ideas, thoughts, and subjects and not only speaking about them, but compiling songs containing them, various themes and elements that you might want to convey, and then randomly and sporadically, not all at once, beginning a conversation about such things in 15-minute segments. And at the end of each 15 minutes, you play one of those said songs that, don't forget, I told you also have to know how to write, compile, and record. And it all has to follow a single theme that's very evident and flow quite nicely. Are you capable of doing that? Because if not, then I'm going to add in another hurdle for you to jump through. When it comes down to the talking in coherent language about it, where you're no longer singing your song or rapping or whatever it is that you choose to do, you have to press record, let the record record for 15 minutes at a time, several different segments. and they all have to flow together. Are you capable of holding a single coherent thought and focus like that, all broken up by time and space and situations and circumstance and other distracting elements? Because if not, then I need for you to go back and start this over until you get back to this point. And then I want you to say, wow, maybe this guy's right. He says that he is reincarnated to resist. He says he is shadow banned. He says it's a good idea that they keep him shadow banned for as long as they can, because shadow banning is the very last thing they have in their arsenal to prevent, slow down, and delay his ever imminent approach and advance, and as he terms it, invasion of literally every television screen and speaker system in the world that they have wired up wirelessly just for me to commandeer, if you will, on some pirate radio type shit. So I want you to say all that to yourself. I want you to take it quite literally and then realize, like, let me go listen to this music. Let me play these songs on this thing. Holy shit. How does someone put those words together like that? And I want you to just really kind of like become amazed and enthralled by it. And then I want you to stop, pause, and ask yourself, not how did he do it, not why does this exist, but why have you found it? And why are you still listening? I want you to ask yourself if there's possibly a part of yourself, your soul essence, beneath the surface of your residual self-image, that your egoic personality that you think you are, that's convinced your mind that it's the real you, that aspect of yourself is probably written right on your government ID. That's its name. Is it possible that that false self has convinced your mind to shadow ban you from your own physical vessel's awareness? Because if so, well, then you might just be able to peer beneath the surface of the upcoming album that I keep talking about. And you may, just may, be able to go back and listen again and glean some deeper messages that you wouldn't have gotten without the context that I just constructed for you. Because as I said way earlier on, the devil is in the details. My magic already ripped the fabric back then in 2019, Epstein voodoo. Full disclosure, dropped right before the COVID craziness locked down the whole fucking planet. Here's the thing. On the Full Disclosure album, track 8, we mentioned the number 8 in the Infinity Spiral before. There's a track called Ashes. And if you listen to it, there is a line in there that says, this shit will be plastered on the front page when this tape drops. And that's not a verbatim quote, but that's what I said. Go listen to it. And I need you to know that released March 1st, 2020. That means I wrote it before then. Well, I recorded it long before the end of 2019. And sure as shit, everywhere was stories about Epstein not killing himself, then COVID, then Galan, Maxwell, and now what the fuck happened to her? We don't know. Everybody forgot about that shit, and child sex trafficking, all that shit. Yeah, But it was on the front page for a good long while. And by the front page, I mean like the front page of everybody's mind prism. It was in your face. They could not hide it. They could not stop the disclosure from finding its fullness. There's also a track at the start of the My Labs tape that's called Soft Disclosure. It says, X-Files with soft disclosure, fucking with your brain. It's designed to acclimate you to the slow-moving brigade of alien composers who are conducting everything so that you never notice how fucking strange the world has become as slowly they invade. They just give you another movie to confuse you. So you don't know what to say as full disclosure movements start to expose the game. You see, they want you to believe that I'm just insane. But if you've listened this long, I think we both know that you don't actually think that. In fact, it's kind of insane to think that someone who can hold and pause and stop and start a conversation with musical interludes that he composed himself over the course of however many days it took me to record this is insane. How could an insane man hold a concept and hit pause like it was a goddamn whatever, and then come right back to it? They couldn't. Unless by insane you mean I possess an extreme amount of inner sanity. Well, in that case, then it would be very easy to conceive that an episode such as this, with all this intricate details, meanderings, is possible because the message is very clear. The system has shadow banned me because the majority of humanity has shadow banned itself. And the only reason I'm able to present this podcast, the website, the music, any of it, is because I unshadow banned myself from myself. And now I think it's funny that all they got is shadow banning me on the internet. Because I guarantee you, when this tape drops, when you begin to see the music videos release, you're going to love it. You're going to love it so much that you're going to tell your friends. Your friends are going to tell their friends. Some of you will come and see me live. You're going to pre-order the album because you want to support the artist. You're going to talk about it. It's going to be a phenomenon. And Shadow Band, the album by Hawkeye the Rapper, is going to be rendered unable to be shadow banned. And it's funny because I'm telling you it before it happens, so that when it happens, you know that I meant every word that you've heard me say. Because what reason do I have to bullshit you? I mean, it's not like I'm over here running some kind of gimmick. I mean, shit, you heard the music. What do you think? Is it trash? Is it just insane? Or after listening to the context-building exercise I've pieced together with this podcast episode, is it intriguing as fuck and makes you say, what other songs are going to be on this album? Like, shit, he's played like 4 or 5 so far, and not only is it dope, but it's deep. He says he goes so motherfucking deep lyrically when he speaks, no tongue-in-cheek, and he is uniquely equipped to kill the beat, which shit that no one ever says, because they're too afraid they'll wind up dead. But he is eagerly awaiting the day these fucking feds try to take him out the picture, because the words he delivers connect dots no one in their club wants. You see, these slithering snakes can all kiss my ass. There is something referred to as an old soul, and we all have a conception of what that means when someone says that. And I just want to interject that you should seriously consider that if you've been called an old soul, or have called someone an old soul, that it's very possible that they are indeed an old soul. And by old, I mean they've been around longer than Jesus. And by that, I mean longer than the Egyptians. And by that, I mean older than Atlantis, if it existed. But here's the difference between me and all of these old souls that maybe you've encountered. Maybe you're one yourself. If I had an official title, it would be Hawkeye, the Warlord of Light, Ancient Star Walker. What does that mean? Well, you've heard of a star seed. A star walker is who walks across the stars to come back to the garden to water and tend to the seeds planted in said garden. And the ancient part implies older than old. And if I'm older than old, that means that you, children, should sit down, shut up, and do what you're told. And what you're being told to do is to look within you and find out if beneath the surface you actually exist. I'm going to take one more break before we finish this up. But here's the last snippet you'll get.
Like this, let me let you niggas know you've been blinded by the show, hypnotized by the screen, and you're living in a dream world. No, I don't give a fuck how you feel. I'ma tell you what the deal is, so when shit gets real, you remember this flow. Let me let you niggas know. Let me let you niggas know. You've been blinded by the show, hypnotized by the screen, and you're living in a dream world. Just take a second to reflect. I don't want you to neglect how insane everything became after Jeffrey's death. 1 minute people are demanding the truth, but in the next 30 seconds bioweapons flooding section of the press, and most of you couldn't see what the fuck was going on. Now 2 years later, I'm here writing this song. You dumb asses wearing masks, still trying to push a vax, cause the TV said to trust the science, but I have to ask, did you forget that world leaders, billionaires and more traffic little kids as sex slaves all over the world? Epstein's little island was just one that got exposed, but they shut the planet down as a way to stop the flow of uncensored information, conversations that emerged, asking why these news stations were insisting this absurd bullshit. Suicide narrative was being pushed. Oh, Epstein died? Are you sure? Let's take a look. But before too many people started seeing all this evil, suddenly a very lethal common cold stole our legal system through persistent propaganda and upheavals of everybody's daily life to make sure you sheep will comply with the lies and try to survive a non-existent pandemic which spread worldwide. Yeah, sure, people died, but tell me something new. Don't pretend that raping kids isn't worse than the flu.
Now, you see, when I say holding a central thought, extrapolating incomplete data sets, and piecing them all together, connecting dots that they don't want connected, all in a rhyme scheme designed to be interpreted by your brain as if it were prose. That's what I bring to the table here. So if I can say things like that and work magic with words, then that would mean that my word magic is as real as a rose. And by any other name, it's still a rose. But I digress. Thank you all for tuning in and for listening to me ramble. This is the first episode, and the date of its release is November the 11th, 2022. 2023 is on its way, and 2023 is the last year before the 2024 2025 astrological event. And by that, I do mean that the big clock in the sky is striking 12, marking the dawn of a new day. I think if you do a little bit of research, maybe you don't even have to. Maybe you've already done the research. Maybe you've already come across this information. Maybe it's in one of your files there. That, references this time period. Well, I'm just going to be direct and tell you what happens during that time period. The outermost planet, Pluto, exits Capricorn. And after Capricorn, we have Aquarius. And if it is the outermost planet, that would mean that if you can envision it as a big clock in the sky, the hour hand along with the minute hand clicks into place at, let's say, 12 noon or midnight, whenever the day starts, signifying a changing of the guard, a different fucking epoch that we're now in. And then you imagine the big clock in the sky, all of its gears and hands, starting over again until we leave Aquarius and move into whatever comes after that, Anyways, this is all based on the thought that we're going off of the current dominant calendar system. And we're entering into a new year, if you will. Galactically, solarly, however you want to look at it. Point is, the date of this release was on purpose, intentional, and specific. It's encoded to make sure that anyone who listens knows that all these songs that I wrote do not speak as clearly as they speak. Accidentally. And my random recorded segments here are not random. The details matter. In fact, it's quite the opposite. Everything that you've heard here in this episode, everything that you've read, seen, or witnessed that has come from my direction, or just for that matter, from the direction of someone else who has also reincarnated to resist, it's actually quite the opposite. And for most of us who have had our moment of remembrance, because it comes upon you suddenly and all at once, but for those of us who have experienced that, there is a very real chance that most of what we say, do, and put together creatively, or make available publicly to others, or even just interpersonally between ourselves and those whom we cross paths with in our day-to-day life journey, whether that's a friend, family member, or stranger who we see needs our assistance. The great majority of us who have become aware of our true nature and of what lies beneath our surface. When we speak to you, especially of things of a mystic nature or an occult, in the realm of the occult. When we speak to you of these things, there's always a sense and a general vibe during these times of intensity that is felt by both parties, but especially by the listener or the one who is being spoken to, which is wholly and completely attention captivating. And by that I mean it doesn't just grab your attention. It captivates your attention and holds it at bay until it lets go. And oftentimes what happens is people realize that they are suddenly trapped and cannot escape from a very uncomfortable situation which their brain did not create and wants to deny is real. And people freak out. People really do, because they get a real sense in the moment and they quickly forget it afterwards. Stay with me here. That not only did the soul that they came across, who they called by some other name, completely unaware that they were not just some random human walking around like themselves, they become very much aware that the soul that has engaged them in this exercise or conversation or dissertation or whatever the interaction may be, that person gets a very real, palpable, fucking tangible experience of the fact that that soul beneath the surface of that individual, bringing through the truth frequencies, as David Icke termed them, it becomes extremely apparent that not only were there coincidentally synchronistic timings and phrasings, not by accident, but rather that they were distinctly and intentionally expressed on purpose by a conscious human being operating from the driver's seat of their higher self, allowing the soul beneath the surface to live the life it incarnated once again to live. And part of that life it's living is to do what others can't, and to do that, they need a vessel to go around and say, hey, all you other human beings, wake up, it's time to wake up. It's time to wake up. And so you see, absolutely nothing that you've heard in this episode, or that you will hear, or that you have ever heard come from me, has accidentally sparked life within you, has perked your ear up, or caused you to feel the same way that you feel when you hear some like really good musical artist and you listen to the lyrics real close and it's kind of cryptic and it's mystifying and it just touches that part of you, and it's just like, what is it about these lyrics and this person that just is so magical to me? Yeah, all that is on purpose. Now, there are people out there accidentally stumbling into it and unintentionally dabbling in it, and intentionally dabbling in it without any context for their sudden psychic abilities and powers, and they are easily led astray by the dark forces in this world. And there's all sorts of, secret orders and Masonic blah blah blahs and various occult societies that you can go and join, and I'm sure that they will all follow the curriculum that something caused someone to concoct one day, and that they force feed to each other their own personal brand of propaganda for their cults. But those people don't really concern me. What concerns me is anyone who has listened to this entire thing and has become intrigued enough to want to know more. Anyone who intends to listen to the following song that will play when I finish rambling. And anyone who has saved this so that they can come back next week. Each Friday at 11:11 a.m., a new episode will be released from here on out. I'm going to try my best to get the proper guests at the appropriate times to come and have a chat with me. Where video is possible, there will be links to the video feed. This will all be found on the website, reincarnated2resist.com. But any of you out there who have listened to this far, made it all the way through, and feel it deep within you that you really not only are interested as someone gets interested in a movie or a television show, like you're super intrigued and you can't wait to hear what comes next on the Beneath the Surface podcast. Y'all are who I'm interested in, because if you're interested and consciously already there with your physical mind's understanding of the context and are able to comprehend exactly where I'm coming from because you're already there, then here I am in public. Contact me so that we can get to work together, because holy shit, I can't believe that you all haven't gotten together and done that already, but I will gather you. I'm serious. If you're that person, you need to understand I don't know who you are and I can't contact you, or I would, but it's your responsibility and duty, sacred duty, to do so, because just as the sun does not cause singular raindrops to fall in isolated areas one at a time, nor do singular trees keep the whole of the planetary body alive and able to breathe. And likewise, humanity operates as the immune system of the planet together. So, there's that. But if you're the other type of person listening to this, who you can kind of wrap your mind around this, that, and the other, it sounds intriguing, maybe synchronistic to some kind of hidden secret thoughts you've never expressed to anyone, but you're not there yet. And by there, I mean you're not consciously operating from the soul that is actually you beneath the surface in your life. But you want to. And that's why you're going to check out my music podcasts in the future. You're going to look into the guests that I have, and you're going to just seek these magical messages that just fully captivate you in the moment, so that you can have even deeper and more consistent and intense experiences, such as you are having right now and will continue to have over the next few days. After listening to this, I'm just telling you what's going to happen, so that when you come back, you can, reference this point in the very first episode, and take my advice. Lift the shadow ban that your residual self-image has placed within your mind over the real you. Because with my hawk's eye, I can see you. That's why I'm talking to you. And I'm gonna, since this is basically, other than my music, this is the very first and is the initiation point, or whatever. The beginning of me stepping out into the public, dealing with public speaking. I'm going to do something very unorthodox that I'm sure lots of people in the public eye have learned or were warned not to do. And that is that I'm going to open my self to any of you who are truly seeking more. Go to the website, reincarnated2resist.com, and find the contact info there and send me a communication of some sort expressing that interest, and we'll have a chat, you and I, either on the phone, a video call, or just text. And who knows? Maybe I can be of some assistance. That was the whole point of me building any of these websites, making any of this music, doing any of these podcast episodes, was to genuinely be of assistance to others, and not just fucking feeding the homeless or buying somebody a hamburger. That's what we should all be doing any goddamn ways. I seek to be of assistance in a way that I know others are not capable of providing, but that everyone needs, and that is to bring awareness and truth and purpose and meaning into your life and consciousness, all simply to get you to peer beneath the surface of your residual self-image, the false you. It's been fun. I'm at my time. I'm going to leave you with one more song. But I mean all of this. If you're already walking the path, you need to get in contact and work with me as I gather the rest of you. And if you're seeking the path and wish for some direct one-on-one guidance, I will not charge you a dime. I'm not interested in any of that. Reach out to me and let me know. And I can't promise anything, but I will do what I can to either help you myself or connect you with the proper souls who carry the medicine that you require. My name is Hawkeye. In the music realm, I have rebranded to Hawkeye the Rapper, because there's apparently a bunch of Hawkeye rappers out there. I think they're all based on comic book characters. I'm not talking about actual hawks with superior eyesight, i.e., I often see far off into the future. I see the big picture. I see what lies beneath the surface of the people I run into and come across. I see down the line for them too. It sounds way cooler than it is, but the lack of vision that I find these days amongst humans is disheartening, and so I seek to change that. But Hawkeye the Rapper, 2 websites. I said it wrong at the beginning, and I'm not going to go back and edit it, but I said it wrong. The second website earlier on in the podcast when I was starting this episode, I said thebirdtribeshavereturned.com, but it's not. It's the return of thebirdtribes.com. In conjunction with Reincarnated to resist. That is the number 2. The rest of those words, you can just type them in. Whatever platform you listen to this on, I will do my very best, if it's possible, to in the description type in the URLs so that you can find these websites more easily. But on these websites is where you will find the novels I am writing, the music I am creating, the podcasts I am recording, and to be able to connect with me and the others. And also, these websites will be where Omniversal Media will be making announcements and doing its thing, operating from, if you will. So if you're familiar with Omniversal Media and what it once was and what this podcast is, and curious to know where Omniversal Media is headed, those are the websites to check out. Also, if you are an artist of any soul-driven creations, be it poetry, literature, music, visual arts, or even teaching and public speaking, because that's an art form, and you want to bring what you have beneath your surface into my field so that I can assess the field of all of you and help me plot out the course for Omniversal Media's takeover of the media so that we can get all of you in front of the people you need to be in front of and override the whole of the system by sneaking in the back door of people's minds. If you would like to join me, that'd be great. But if you understand the gravity of the situation, you will not hesitate to get in touch with me, to show me what you have to bring to the table, and offer to assist me in working out all of these logistics I mentioned way earlier in this episode. Because at this point, I don't even care what the logistics are. I know the end destination. I know the curves in the path along the way to get to said destination, and all of the major landmarks. How the food is manifested that fuels the body that takes the steps down said path, and where the shoes, clothes, and water comes from. I don't know. I just know that from point A to point B is where I will be heading, along with the rest of you, whether you want to or not, whether you intend to or not, whether you realize that that's what's happening or not. This is what will happen. Therefore, I'm not concerned with the smaller, finer details, I guess is what you'd say. But that doesn't mean that I'm able to just pretend that they don't matter or aren't real. All of these logistics must and will need to be worked out quite quickly, I assume. However, as it stands today, at this very moment, the recording of this podcast and this podcast episode, and at the release of this episode, it's solely yours truly, Hawkeye the Rapper, creator of Omniversal Media, host of Beneath the Surface podcast, and author of an upcoming fantasy series, novels, if you will, titled The Unveiling. It's me, alone. Therefore, there's nobody else to figure all of the little details out. Like how to make the website do this and this and this. And when you type in the URL, it goes to the right place. Because I got different hosts and all this and that stuff. I got to figure all that out. I'm not worried about it. I will. Some of you out there specialize in that. And you need to not only connect with me, you need to connect with me and let me connect you with the others out there bringing more potent medicine than I could ever hope to create unique shit that only they can do. Valuable frequencies, almost more vital than water itself, that come through one individual alone. They're out there, and they need for you to help me, help you, help them get on the stage that you and I and others like you and I are actively constructing for them. Because, look, the basis of our civilized society, especially here in America, consists of paying attention and then allowing for ourselves to believe in the man on the stage, whoever it may be, the preacher, the self-help teacher, or even the president or the speaker of the house, blah, 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 whatever it is. And the words that come from those stages, if you will, from those pulpits, from those soapboxes, literally shape, mold, and change the fabric of our collective psyches, and that causes us to act accordingly. So this is no small thing. When I say there's somebody out there named Paul who needs not to make more money from his spiritual services. No, he needs to be placed in a very public space so that his words can literally break the strongholds of said area where he speaks at. And can literally shift the atmospheric conditions of entire cities overnight with what he's bringing to the table. This guy named Paul, he's out there. But as of right now, he's waiting for Omniversal Media to open the door, because what he's bringing through is not only going to be shadow banned. What he has to bring to the table, I the type of shit you get murdered over before you're famous. And it's really funny talking about the collective thought sphere of us all. I say that and I say the word famous. And some of you, even after all of this, take that and you can't help it, but your mind goes off into left field and you think, famous, this ain't about, this about spiritual, blah, blah, blah. You try to get famous, you try to get up. Listen, there are people out there who have no business having millions of dollars or being in front of a camera or in a position to influence anyone, yet they are. We call them celebrities. But then there are souls who were always going to wield more power, influence, and command more respect from a vast majority of humanity. They were always going to be famous, actually famous, because of who they are. Jimi Hendrix wasn't just a good guitar player that caught a lucky break. You see? Whoever that Jesus character was way back when, apparently there was this person that, we refer to as Jesus now, about 2,000 something years ago. I don't know what he looked like, where he hailed from. I don't know if all them stories are true. I just know that somebody did something fucking major. Like, major as fuck. Like, he's way more famous than anybody alive today will ever be. And he's been dead for a long time. He, she, whoever it was. This individual, this soul that incarnated then. They done built him a bunch of buildings, whole bunch. And they keep all the homeless people out too. My point is, we live in a day and age where not only is Capricorn, Pluto, Aquarius, outer planets, clock strikes 12, not only is all of that happening within the next 2 years, it's a process, a procession, if you will. Not only are we living in that time, like holy shit, wow, right? But we're living in a time where the forces of darkness are quick to find and eliminate threats of that nature. Kind of like Herod tried to, killing all them babies. And that guy back with Moses went and killed all them babies, right around the time of their birth. Not only kind of exactly fucking like that today, but they're a lot more efficient at it now, especially with these computers and looking glass technologies. Technically, they can use their technologies to make sure that woman A and man B never even meet and have a Star Walker C incarnate through the you can do all that by fucking with your phone, showing you what the algorithm wants you to see. What they can't do is they cannot successfully shadow ban me because of who I am. And since they can't, they will try, and it will only cause more attention to be focused in my direction, and all of that attention focused towards me will be what I use to redirect towards the proper channels. Speaking of channels, Omniversal Media will do something to people so deep that if they're not careful, every single one of their corporate toys and huge conglomerate business entities which operate autonomously almost and keep the world working and distracted, they'll all be rendered completely obsolete to the point to where they not only go bankrupt, they get so buried in the news feed of humanity's thought stream and attention field due to everyone paying more attention to Omniversal Media's productions than theirs, that the amount of revenue generated by companies like Omniversal Media LLC and TLI LLC. Go read her vision for that. Companies like that will dominate the field simply due to everyone's attention being on them. You know, Tupac came and he said, "All eyes on me." Yeah, something like that. And these companies that I speak of which I am a part, generate so much revenue so quickly that not only will these companies be on the verge of seeing the first signs of bankruptcy looming in their future, but when their overall net worth gets to a certain danger point, they will be approached by members of Omniversal Media, or TLI, and that umbrella corporation that she speaks of, that I have dreamt of prior to hearing of her vision. And they'll obtain tools and resources and infrastructure which the powers that used to be could no longer afford to keep. The world is changing. You are actively participating in that simply by listening to this. Should you choose to share it with someone else, you are doing all of life a greater service than you can currently comprehend. Maybe you are conscious of how powerfully beneficial sharing this will be and is. But I assure you, your assumption of how valuable your sharing is far smaller than what the reality of the domino effect that unfolds and comes into fruition down the line, the immensity of that is something so vast that when we get there, and I remind you of this episode, saying things like, all of you who heard the call accidentally on purpose wound up listening to that first episode and then took action, began walking this path, whether that action was to contact me and work directly with me on things, or simply sharing it with a friend who needed to hear it as well. I'm going to sit there and tell all of you, do you remember where you were at? How you felt? Isn't that me saying you have no idea how big of a part of this that you already are? At that point in the future, when I remind you, your jaws are going to drop and you're going to say, holy fucking shit. Hawkeye wasn't playing. He really is back. Like, we already know that, but we're right where he said we would be. These things we used to dream of separately, he brought us together, and now we're out here working this garden of souls together. You see, we live in a time and a day and an age where the powers that are soon to not be are very efficient at killing off, snuffing out, silencing, and hiding the lone souls who individually are threats. Those very same same souls die upon crosses fashioned by the governments. The same way Jesus did, because guess what Jesus didn't have on that day they came to take him away? He didn't have anybody to stand with him. All 12 of his closest friends said, not me, they ain't crucifying me. Jesus, you crazy. And then he said, well, I can't fight all of you. I guess today's the day. But what if those 12 would have stood and all of the multitudes of people who got healed, what if they just said, no, you're not going to do this to our guy who we think is God? But they didn't. You see the power that those who wield fear as a weapon can command? You see the power that they command. That's what keeps you shadow banned. That's what kept me shadow banned till the appointed time. That's what keeps us all shadow banned from ourselves, unaware and uninterested in looking beneath the surface of ourselves, this world, our life. That's why many people only ever get close enough to the concept and idea of a soul to pray a prayer in a church, asking this Jesus character they were told to believe in to save their soul from hell. Because when they die, that's where they will dwell if he doesn't. And that's extremely disappointing for a soul like me who has been away for such a long time, to come back and see how far humankind has strayed from the former glory that our story once spoke of. You see, there's a reason all of these animals and insects and plants not only provide for us everything we need, but they don't gather together and murder us as we all gather together under the corporate overlords and are actively trying to murder everything on the planet. There's a reason they don't gang up on us. You realize just like if all of the ants in the world decided to get rid of humans, we'd be gone. And that's just ants. I don't talk about insects in general or other mammals. You don't need to really worry about space aliens. I mean, you do. But there's enough shit living here that has every reason and right to be pissed off with us. But the reason they don't is because they know who we are. Why we're incarnated into these vessels. And they know that we are essential as the sun, rain, and trees. And they honor and respect and cherish us in the same vein that some of us adore nature. And once you catch a glimpse of that within yourself, once you peer beneath the surface and have a moment of sudden remembrance of that former glory that I spoke of in the story at the end of the full disclosure tape, please go listen to the last track on full disclosure after this episode ends. Once you catch a glimpse of that, and once you hear and see all life forms around you celebrating your return, once you bear witness to it, absolutely nothing else in this life makes any sense at all, because it was never supposed to. The only thing that was supposed to make sense was coming back to this sacred sphere and taking a stand. When I say reincarnated to resist, the regime that has for hundreds of thousands of years tried and failed to implement the largest mind control net scheme plan, what the fuck ever you want to call it, in order to gain access to this library of life, unhindered by human intervention. They have failed for hundreds of thousands of years. And now here I am, reincarnated to resist once more. You see, I've been gone for a lot longer than, put it this way, it's hard to fathom the actual numbers if you want to use those in terms of years. I've been gone for so long, but now that I am back, they already know that every ounce of fear throughout the years at their disposal that they could wield couldn't hold a candle to the fear that I instill in them simply by existing in the physical here. Because they do remember what controls them, their master, who they don't even know of, their puppet, string holding entity and conglomerate of entities, and the forces that guide them don't even know that they're nothing more than Agent Smiths in this matrix. But the things running the show, they remember me, and they know why I'm back again, and they're only on the very outside of the reaches of everyone's attention running the show, because they know not to step into the spotlight. They know not to let themselves be seen, especially not by me, because they're only in the position they're in now and have been stuck doing the same shit for hundreds of thousands of years because of me and what my legion did to ensure that they barely will ever get close enough to even touch this holy planet. With their darkness, they'll only be able to send their henchmen who will ultimately only ever be able to try to convince you and I to go to work, pay our taxes, and then die. But you and I know, just person to person, Ethan to whoever it says you are on your government ID, you know that life is so much more than that. You've always known it, and it's asinine to pretend like the statement that you just heard isn't more valid and contains more vital information and expresses a concept more tangible than the air you're breathing. You can't pretend that what I just said not only negates most of the shit that we believe, but it puts into context everything you've heard in this episode. And it brings this long-winded yet spirited edition of timely intervention, which I have actively invented in the moment, off the top, through my intuition, simply by hitting record on my phone while it's plugged in. As an extension of everything you've heard prior to the last interlude that I played. we've brought it full circle, you see. Now, not only is it kind of crazy to randomly record 15-minute segments of a conversation that you have alone, split up by songs which just so happen to lyrically sync right up with the context, subject matter, and message that you've heard in these sporadic clip recordings. But here at the end, after that last song, go back and listen to it if you need to refresh yourself. Just hit rewind, come back to this time marker. But after that, you got 55 minutes, give or take a few, of me expanding this thing out and bringing it in together and expanding it out and showing you the web of interconnectedness and bringing it in together and unfolding it even further to show you your part in it, how I fit into ensuring you follow the pattern along with people you don't know and won't know without me to connect you to them, and who need for you to do what you will do with the information they give to you. And then we bring it back in and I say, if you're listening, you too carry medicine, which others don't, that your brothers and sisters need. And that's why you're here with me right now. Be sure to tune in next week for a pre-recorded episode of what was supposed to be the first Beneath the Surface podcast episode with a guest, a very special guest. Check the website, reincarnated2resist.com, for more information. Don't hesitate to reach out. Don't pretend that you didn't hear this. And don't you dare walk away from what you just finished listening to and pretend that you don't already know. That it is not only time for you to act, but that it is imperative at this juncture, prior to the star clock in the sky striking 12, it is imperative that you get extremely serious about the life that you are living. And that starts by silencing your physical mind and letting your soul speak. You see, this episode, this podcast, Omniversal Media, has brought this to you in your face, as it were, so that you would no longer have an excuse to doubt what you already know, nor would you have the ability, after these vocal codings, the frequency and tone of my voice and that particular energetic signature, after all of this sinks in to your DNA, you're not going to possess the ability to forget or continue to be distracted by this, that, and the other. It's going to become something you obsess about until you deal with it and peer beneath your own surface and see the you that was always going to surface. Because as I've said, for hundreds of thousands of years, they have tried again and again to do something other than fail at reining humanity in. And yet, not only are they doing a piss poor job, but now I'm back and I did not come alone. And if they're what I'm resisting, then that's what we're resisting. And they failed with us. We didn't buy the bullshit. Too bad it sucks. Hundreds of thousands of years wasted. You just see they work from the shadows because they cannot confront the warriors who have mastered the art of what they only play at. The devil would have you think he is some kind of an omniscient super being made of pure malevolence. But I assure you, the demons in the box are real. Wetiko, the psychic parasite, is real. And the worst image or personification of the devil or Satan that you could come up with would seem like the most childlike and generous angel you could envision in comparison with what's in that box. I mentioned earlier that I'm working on a epic fantasy novel series titled The Unveiling. This will be my fictional retelling of a very literal present reality, which we all know nothing of because it's been hidden and kept from us. But the worst evil being that you could concoct in your mind, the whole of humanity at this point could all work together to make some kind of super devil up, and they could fucking even figure out how to make it real, like a physical fucking being of evil and a monstrosity. And the demons in the box wouldn't even pause to look at it as they walked past it in their approach. Towards who? Towards the shield which protects the sun, rain, and tree. You see, the sun, rain, and tree has very little to do with some kind of magic trick which is cool and gives life to this planet. It has everything to do with being the foundational Holy Trinity, which sustains and upholds, like pillars, if you will, the pillars of the earth. This library of life, which has so many different life forms that even the best counters in all of existence can't seem to fucking stop finding new ones. This planet is a library where souls who lived elsewhere in the cosmos, and by that I mean from all across the multitude of multiverses contained within what can be termed as the Omniverse, from all across creation, each and every life form that has ever existed or ever will has its own physical representation here, whether it be a clover leaf or a red wasp, a yellow canary, man's best friend, some sort of canine or feline, a bat, a hawk, a bear, and yes, humans, but also crystals and various other forms of matter which soul essences can, will, and do inhabit. That's why there's so much shit here and there's nothing elsewhere. Because this is the library where we keep life alive. You may ask who we are that I'm referring to in that context. And all I'm gonna say is, if this is a garden, the stars planted seeds. How did you get there? We walked with our feet. My government name is Ethan Womack. However, my true name, if spoken in English, would be Hawkeye the Ancient Star Walker. We make sure that sun, rain, tree always is protected by the shield of humanity, because those demons in that box that I speak of, they are so far beyond anything you could conceive of. You think you know evil. You think you know malevolence. You think you know hatred. But until you have had this sudden remembrance experience I speak of, and unless you were there when they were sealed away, then you don't know. But you need to trust me. Visit Reincarnated2Resist.com for links and information about upcoming musical projects, video feeds, and future podcast episodes. But visit The Return of the Bird Tribes. .com. The Return of the bird tribes. Or is it the bird tribes have returned? I don't recall. You'll have to try them both. Visit our secondary website for glimpses into the first novel in the series, titled The Unveiling. The first novel is called First Light. And visit the website. You'll see. And when it comes out, read the book. And when you read the book, remember the story that you heard me say here at the end of this episode. And then realize I'm writing it as fiction so that I can allude to the reality which those demons in the box hope no one remembers. And they hope no one tells. And they hope to open the way again. Because they hope that no one remembers they even exist. And that's why I'm here with you. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for being here. Thank you for any support that you feel within your heart for these endeavors here. But thank you even more for committing to yourself and the mission for which you incarnated. Thank you for stepping into your role. And thank you for acknowledging that you can no longer procrastinate and play pretend. The time for action is now. The time is short. You can either let go of your false self, or you can be dragged into reality. Either way, the you within you didn't come here to not do. What you fear it's here to do. So you can either let go of the residual self-image and the idea of you in your head that you imagine exists, and you can begin walking your path, or you will be dragged by the soul inside. The actual you, the only part that exists in reality. And the entire time you're being dragged, you will imagine yourself suffering. When in reality, false self doesn't even exist. I'm very excited and looking forward not only to the future conversations that will unfold between me and other souls who not only carry deep wisdom and potent medicine, but also who just flat out interest me. I'm not only excited and super, I feel like a little kid when I think about it. I'm super pumped to make these connections with people, to not only find them miraculously, cross their paths, but also seek them out. And once I find them, after seeking them accidentally bumping into them, interjecting myself into their field and saying, hey, you're going to be on my podcast. It can be this year, next year, tomorrow. You're going to. And having them just look back at me and say, I see you. And I say, my name is Hawkeye. So yeah, I see you too. Believe it or not, those of you still listening, I am fully capable of being a normal person when around others, having what could be considered run-of-the-mill conversations that don't sound all extra super fucking weird. But you've listened to this entire podcast. And everything I said that may sound weird if you're listening to it with a friend or someone else, apparently don't sound that fucking weird when it's just you and you talking. The difference between me and you is I know that inner talk needs to be vocalized where others can hear it, because they're having the same type of conversations, thoughts, and using the same language, and they keep it hidden too. Someone has to go first. Until next time.
Give a fuck how you feel, I'ma tell you what the deal is, so when shit gets real, you remember this flow. Let me let you niggas know. Let me let you niggas know. You've been blinded by the show, hypnotized by the screen, and you're living in a dream world. In the age of the sea, God sent me to preach and wake the dead with my speech. I'm here to teach you, but I keep fucking up the cover up. I must be what the upper crust couldn't stuff beneath the TV screen. I busted, you're in luck. I'm something nothing can adjust. Been break, buzzer crush. My apologies, but all I see is fake, dumb stuff. I am really here to clear the field, and no one will prevent me. Stand against me, and you'll get to see why enemies don't tempt the Lord of War. Not even Thor can bring enough lightning and shore. Odin knows he need the whole entire kingdom to move forward, but an avalanche of happenstance at my command will pour from my lips and with the fabric of reality. Before I let a motherfucker dumb enough run up and touch the sun, I just summon everyone to come and humble them. For me, I trust someone gets the message through and stresses. If they test me too much, I might combust into a supernova. What the fuck do you do then? I'll obliterating in an entire solar system. That's how I unfold this wisdom. I enlisted to persist, reincarnated to resist. That means I am why you're violent, ambitious bullshit. Only serve my higher purpose. Every liar in the circus isn't working for the serpents. I disguise in my insurgents. Activate when I encourage sleeper agents to awaken. My replacements take control and break the matrix as a whole. Let me let you niggas know. You've been blinded by the show, hypnotized by the screen, and you're living in a dream world. No, I don't give a fuck how you feel. I'ma tell you what the deal is, so when shit gets real, you remember this flow. Let me let you niggas know. Let me let you niggas know. You've been blinded by the show, hypnotized by the screen, and you're living in a dream world. And you're living in a dream world. And you're living in a dream world.